Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Today's video is a free repair. I have ads all over the internet to help out the community to do free repairs. A couple of machines come in yesterday. This Troy-Bilt came in and the man says he went out to start it one day. He turned the key, all he got was a click. He charged the battery, same deal. So our guess is it's a solenoid. He would have fixed it, but he didn't know where the solenoid was or how to fix it. He did take jumper cables from the battery straight to the starter, and he said the starter spun. So I'm taking his word. What I'm going to do, I took the battery out so I could charge it. I'm going to throw the battery back in. The solenoid on these Troy-Bilts is located up here. Okay, that's what this bolt is right here. And this is the other side of it. It's just a little kind of an L shape, goes through the hole to hold one side, you bolt it on the other. So in order to get it out, you have to remove the battery, take out the hooks or the U-shaped brackets. They just spin out and squeeze out so that you can reach in from the inside to get to the solenoid. But usually I would test those solenoids, but you can't really reach it in this position. And I definitely can't film it in this position. So what I'm going to do is find a key, because he lost the key. I'm going to pull off the air filter, get the battery back in, try the key, and if nothing works, obviously, which I'm not expecting it to, then I'm simply going to take some jumper cables and I'm going to go from the battery directly to the starter and see if it'll spin. See if it'll turn. Now it's been sitting for a long time, so I imagine that the carburetor is dirty and it has fuel in the tank, but we're just going to give it a spin the way it is, make sure we know it's a solenoid, and then we're going to change the solenoid. Please subscribe. Okay, this part I imagine will be a bit anticlimactic. I put the battery back in, brake is locked down, PTO is off, we're in neutral. Let's just hit the key, and I am getting absolutely nothing. And I fully charged this battery myself. There's nothing else that would be stopping it. Sometimes it won't start if it's in gear. It definitely won't start if the PTO or the blade engagement is on. If the brake's not on, if you're not sitting on the seat, we're getting nothing. This is what I expected. So now what I'm going to do is go grab some jumper cables. I'm going to show you the cheat way. Okay, because jumper cables can be a pain in the butt, and I don't like if I try to sit on the seat crushing them, sparking, anything like that. I just have a second battery here. I have the ground attached to the muffler. I have the positive on the starter. So when I touch this, the key's in the off position. I just want to make sure that the starter spins. And it does. So now what I'm going to do, put the key to the run position. I'm going to get some starting fluid. Alright, I've taken off the air cover and the air filter, which is right there. I'm going to spray a nice amount of this down in the intake. I'm going to sit on it. I've moved the battery. The key is on. Brake is down. There you go. It will start. Now it has fuel in it. I can see the fuel level in the tank. It's got about 2 inches of fuel. I'm going to try it one more time because I always do it twice. You can't replicate it. It's not science. Spray a little bit more in. We're going to make it bark one more again. There we go. So what that tells us is two things. That tells us firstly that our starting solenoid is no good. I'm sorry about the audio. I've been told in the comments many times that when I step away from the camera for a wider shot, you can't hear me. So for those of you comment keyboard warriors, I ordered microphones last night, wireless mics. I can fit one right on my shirt, take it with me, so you'll be able to hear me perfectly and we won't have audio problems anymore. So what that tells me is the starting solenoid, no good. You can get those at any auto parts store. They have a little lawnmower section. They sell 3-post, 4-post starting solenoids. They may require 2 bolts instead of 1 with a hook on the other side. It doesn't matter. As long as you can get 1 bolt into that thing, it'll hold. Otherwise, you can order them online. You can get them at your local parts dealer. They're usually 20 bucks or less. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2, I know it's got fuel, is that it will not stay running. The fuel solenoid on the bottom of the carburetor. Okay, that's not going to be a problem because with the key on, it's right there. With the key on, it's getting power and it should open up. This thing's been set in a long time, so it's going to need a carb cleaning. Now, I told him when he dropped this thing off that my time is valuable. By the time I take off a carburetor, spend an hour pulling it apart, putting it in the ultrasonic, putting it back together, putting it back on. Half the time that doesn't work when the ethanol's all messed up in there. Take it back off, clean it again. That takes too much time. I can buy a carburetor on Amazon for a couple of bucks. It is worth it just to purchase a new carburetor. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to send him a text telling him he needs a new solenoid, which we knew, and he's going to get a brand new carburetor. And in a few days when those get here, I'll put the carburetor and the solenoid on. So for me, it'll be a week. For you, it'll be right now. Subscribe while you're here. It's free and it helps me out so much. All right, it's been a couple of days, so all I've done now is take that bolt out and I can reach my solenoid. So the important thing is to remember where each wire is that you take off, especially on the 2 spade connectors. Let me show you those. On the solenoid, I can show you the new one easier than I can show you the old one. You have your 2 spade connectors, okay, and you have to make sure that when you plug them in on the correct side. So if you do plug them in wrong and nothing happens when you hit the key, you'll want to pop one off and put it on the other side, because this side, power that comes off of the key and clicks this over, and the other side is the ground and a few other things. So you want to make sure that you put the key side on the correct side. So when you put power to that, this will bridge together, make a switch, close the switch, and turn on the starter. So now all we're going to do is take the existing solenoid. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get to. There's not a lot of room. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these wires off and swap them out. That's all. Okay, now I got the wires swapped over. And your solenoid goes here. And let me tell you a little secret. The old solenoid right there had threads built into it. So when I put the new one in and it didn't have it, I would have had to get a nut and bolt. And it is next to impossible to get your hand in there, behind the battery guard, up inside, under that spring to get to that stupid thing. Now, this thing, as long as this bridge is between these 2 posts and this thing is not flopping around in there, that is all it takes. So I went ahead and put it back in place, and I used a zip tie, okay, because that's all it takes. A zip tie pulled down nice and tight to keep this thing from moving around too much. That's all it takes to hold that in place. If it's not moving around and shaking, and these wires don't have a chance to touch anything up on the frame, I put it back in the exact same spot it's supposed to be. I just zip tied it. It'll also be easier to get out later. So if you don't like that, fine. I don't work for companies that have to warranty stuff through the manufacturer. I warranty what I do. Every machine I sell or repair, I do 3-month warranty on. If anything happens, I replace it completely free, including any parts. So there you go. Zip ties will come in handy. that thing's not going anywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and put the battery back in, show you when I hit the key. Now it's working. I'll be right back. Okay, remember, I do not expect this to start because the new carburetor is sitting right over there in a box. And I've yet to drain the fuel out of the tank. I don't want to put that nasty stuff in the new carburetor. I just want to know now if I hit the key, solenoid fixed the problem. I also found when I was checking the wiring for the solenoid, there's an inline fuse, and that fuse was not blown out, it was actually melted. It was actually melted and broken. And that, my friends, is what fried the solenoid. This is the power wire that goes from the battery to the solenoid, and that melted and busted. So I took that out of the line and I put in a new fuse and replaced the solenoid. So that was our issue on that. And of course it not starting is a matter of it's sitting for so long. Just for the heck of it though, might as well see if it'll start while we go. That's okay, we got a new carburetor. I will keep the old carburetor for parts and eventually clean it and maybe use it in the future. So next step is going to be replace the carb and we should be back in business. Alright, so I did not film changing the carburetor because I figured there's over 100 videos on my channel about changing carburetors. A couple of bolts, couple of linkages, and you're all good. I don't know if you'll notice, the machine is turned around. I'll show you why in a minute. But carburetor, I drained all the old fuel, got rid of that, put in some fresh fuel. I spoke to the owner and he did say that he wanted the fuse replaced. So I went ahead and bought a new fuse holder and some new 20 amp fuses, which is what was in it. Went ahead and put those together. I'm about to just secure that with a zip tie, put the battery back in, and I'll show you if this thing rides or not. Alright, so this project should be finished. It should be good to go. So that's it for this old house. Anybody used to watch that show? I miss old Bob Vila. Anyway, I hope that helps somebody. In this particular case, there's only one fuse on the entire machine. It's in line. It's next to the starting solenoid, behind the battery, against the back wall. It melted, which is what caused the solenoid to fail. It just got overloaded for some reason. More than likely when someone turns the key and the machine doesn't start right away, so they hold the key on, trying, hoping that if it just turns over for another 30 seconds, it'll finally start, and you'll burn up your solenoid, you'll burn out your fuse, you'll even burn up your starter. So if it doesn't start within 30 seconds, kick the key back off, give it a second, do it again. You can do it as long as you want. As long as you give it a break here and there. You don't want anything to get overheated. 12 volts is a lot of volts. You wouldn't think so, but it melts wires. So there you go. Another free fix for the neighborhood. They're on their way to come by and pick it up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for 9,000 subscribers. It's been an amazing year. This year, in the beginning of the season, I was only about 2,500 subscribers, and I've more than tripled my subscriber count. It's been crazy. So Stay tuned, tons of videos coming up, more free fixes, more community work, starting on the shop, boat motors, just all kinds of stuff. So smash that like button with your forehead. It's somewhere between my chin and my balls, and I'll see you soon.